We've got some really good answers. Remember, when you're done, when you're completely done, you're just going to hit submit. And then that tells me you're ready to move on. So I've got just a couple who've submitted. And so I want to make sure everybody is ready to move on before. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what you guys wrote, but don't worry, I'm not going to say names. The only time anybody will ever know if it's yours is if you decide to share that. I won't ever do that. I am going to go ahead and start the recording so we can get started. All right. Good morning to everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 27th. This is English 4. I am Mrs. Lowe, one of the 5 English 4 teachers. We also have Miss Stevens here today and Miss Gertson. So you should have one of us 3 as your teacher or Miss Maslach. And so if you do, you're in the right place. If you don't, we want you to stay anyways, because this is going to be a really fun class. Okay, Miss Gertson is going to be helping by modeling what we want you to be doing today. So that's the screen that you can see. If you have questions and you don't want to come on mic, or if you have a comment or anything like that, you are welcome to put that in the chat, and Miss Stevens will be making sure that you get answers that you need, or high fives that you need, or whatever you need. So that'll be happening in the chat. And then I will try to go back and forth to everything, but I'm going to kind of focus on the lesson. And so what we're asking you to do, first of all, is to be a little vulnerable with us this morning. And we're thinking of a time that we felt like an outsider. As humans, this is something that we all feel at some point in our lives. If you're lucky, you don't feel it very often. For me, I feel it a lot. I was telling the students that were here earlier, I'm actually the only female in my house. That includes pets. And so I can often feel like an outsider when they're talking about guns or video games or playing video games that I don't want to play. And so I'm just like there, like, oh, well, that stinks. I don't get to do that. And so I'm going to get quiet for just another minute or so you guys can talk about, just drag those emotions over to show whether you felt it or not, and then just give a little explanation. Just has to be a couple sentences. You don't have to write in sentences if you don't want to. And then make sure you hit submit. That tells us that you're ready to move on.
Can everybody access the Nearpod? I just want to make sure that everybody can click on the link and get to it.
Good morning, Marcia.
Sorry, I had another student trying to pop in over there. Okay. All right. It looks like a lot of you have submitted. If you haven't, oh, so many are you still working? I love it. I do want to share some of these, but I don't want to stop you if you're still working. So I'm just going to read off what some of you have read because they're just so good. So somebody talked about feeling like an outsider on the first day of middle school, right? Like, so that transition from elementary school to middle school, because it's a lot more students than you're used to. And so that was a really difficult time. They felt sadness and fear. What? Sorry, y'all. I did not mean to do that. I always click on the wrong button. It should be saved. You should be able to keep working if you weren't done yet. Another person talked about how they feel like an outsider everywhere they go. It doesn't matter, that they just feel different from everyone. And the feelings are fear, sadness, and anger. Listen, I get that. And I hate that for you. Like, that breaks my heart for you. I know so my cultural heritage is Mexican, and you can look at me. I don't look very Mexican. I don't talk very Mexican, right? And so when we have big family get-togethers, I often feel very much like an outsider, even though I'm not. because I don't speak Spanish very well. I don't have dark skin like a lot of my family members do. And my interests are often not the same as theirs. And so I get that can be really, really hard. As an adult, I've learned to deal with it a little better. Well, as an adult, I'm with a little bit of therapy. And so that is definitely something that I hope that you overcome as well. But I do hate that for you. Someone else talked about feeling like an outsider when they tried out for a dance team because so many of the girls were in that same group and they'd had previous training. And so she was embarrassed that I guess that she didn't have as much training as they did, but then also disgusted because the girls were kind of judgy about it. Listen, girls can be rough, right? I am one. I know we can be pretty awful to one another. Thank you so much for sharing this. Somebody talked about how being autistic, that they spent a lot of time just hiding at who they were by masking. And so some of the feelings they had were fear and sadness. And so they would fake being happy. But it was hard because nobody really knew what they weren't, or what they were. And so hopefully, I noticed that this is written in past tense. So hopefully that's not something that you feel anymore. But again, if it is, you guys, it is so healthy to write these things down, to speak them out loud, right? Like you are showing such a level of health that I did not have at your age, just by the fact that you're able to recognize it and then voice it in some way. So if you don't journal and you're struggling with something, y'all, that can be so helpful. And if you're like, I don't want to write that stuff down, well, then grab your phone and just like audio it out, right? Like talk it out. Like I promise it can be so, so therapeutic just to get those thoughts out of your head and out of your head.
Into the atmosphere. Let it go.
Into the atmosphere. Thank you, Ms. Stevens. I was stuck there.
I want to add too to what Ms. Lowe said. You are all welcome here. You are all seen. You are all loved for exactly the way you are. And we want you, as the semester goes on, to feel comfortable and welcome, and even maybe put your camera on to share who you are and participate and come on mic. This is your safe place. This is your community. So we are so glad that you're putting a toe in the water and sharing your personal experiences, but we just want you to know this is where you belong.
Yes. 100%. And I know we are short on time, so this is the last one that I'm going to share, but thank you all so much for sharing. These are fantastic. So the last one is a student actually moved to Germany in the 3rd grade, and they had to go to a German class where they were required to speak German on their first day. And so the feeling that they put was sadness because they didn't know German. They just gotten there. And so that I can definitely see how that would be difficult. All right. So if you haven't submitted yet, go ahead and hit submit, even if you're not done. That way it saves what you've got. And then we'll keep going. Go ahead and hit submit in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the personal reflective essay. So I put reflective in parentheses because that's the part that students miss, because all it says is the personal essay. And then some of you are writing us wonderful essays about your personal life. But the part that you're missing is that it has to be reflective on what we've already read. And so it's more of a compare and contrast with what we've read in your own life. And so that's why I always put that in parentheses to kind of alert students this is not just a personal essay. We also want to connect. We also want to connect, but connect too, right? And then make it personal, right? Like we want to hear about all of these things. And so you guys, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. If you are struggling on the Unit 1 essay and you're like, I don't know what to talk about, I can't relate to anything. All of you just wrote about a time that you felt out of place, left out in some way. that is the perfect connection to this, right? Because when you look at what Broughton Brandenburg and his wife did, they went into live among the Italian immigrants, and they absolutely felt like outsiders, right? And so whether you felt a lot of the things that they were feeling or your experience was completely different, you can compare or contrast that, right? You can talk about similarities and or differences. So you already have a great start to what your essay is about. So make a note of that. Send these slides to yourself. Ms. Gertson, can you show them how to do that?
Send the notes. So if you are on the Google Meets screen, if you click down here at the bottom right, you're going to see something that says My Notes. Then you're going to click on Save via email, and then you're going to type in your school email. Now, why is it important? Because it sends you the presentation with all of my notes and Miss Lowe's notes. And another cool thing about it is you can take, I'm trying to type and talk. You can type notes on each slide and it sends you those. So as you're brainstorming and thinking of what you're going to write in your essay, oh, that's a good idea. I can explain how this matches what I read in Brandenburg's Text Imported Americans. Write it down. It's going to email it to you, and then you're going to have everything you need.
Perfect. So if you weren't doing that while she was talking, please do that now. Click on, it's in the Nearpod screen, click on My Notes, put in your email address. Even if you don't take notes, it will send you a copy of all the slides. So everything that we're talking about today will be right there in your inbox waiting for you. And then of course, we're gonna make the recording available to you later as well. But having the notes, you can kind of fast forward to the places where maybe you need more review. Awesome. All right, so in every class, we always want to review the responsive ed mission statement and then our ISVA mission statement. Both of those are really important and kind of, they almost act like a thesis statement, right? To the entire school, like this is what we are about. And so your thesis statement is super important to any essay. Our mission statements are super important to our school. If everything we aren't doing doesn't point back to this mission statement, then we don't need to be doing it. That's really what it comes down to, okay? So today, the part that I want to focus on is actually in both of these. So it talks about here providing, I just marked right on both sides, right? This idea is to provide hope for you guys. And so not just hope like I'm going to graduate and finish high school this year, but like hope beyond this, right? Like hope that exists. Like I'm not always going to feel like an outsider in my home. I'm not always going to feel like an outsider in my family. My situation may not change, but I can, right? And so those are things that we want to help you guys with, even in these live classes. And so that is our plan today, is we want to provide hope, definitely educationally, but even beyond that, as we talk through some of these hard issues. And so I just want to say again, thank you so much for the vulnerability that you guys have already shown today. Like I'm kind of blown away that you would be willing to share those things with us. All right, so here's kind of our roadmap that we're going to be on today. We have 3 things that we want to accomplish. We want to identify and analyze themes in nonfiction text. That's the first step to completing this essay. What are those overarching themes that we're seeing in the Broughton Brandenburg text that we could potentially connect to? Secondly, we're going to annotate those texts so that we can make sure that we have, really this is to help us when we go to write our essays, so we have good quotes, good situations that we can make those direct connections to. And then lastly, of course, to make those meaningful connections using that textual evidence that we have highlighted all over the Broughton Brandenburg text. But first, we want to see what you guys already know. So the next screen that you're going to see has a short, super short text from an excerpt from another article about immigration. What I would like for you to do is just read that. And then there are 4 questions. They're multiple choice. This is literally, we just want to see where you're at presently so we can see, okay, these are things we need to talk about. This is stuff everybody's got and we don't need to work on that. Okay, so we're not going to show grades. We're not going to say how many people got things right or got things wrong. We just want to see where are you currently at. So just read that short excerpt, answer the 4 multiple choice questions. As soon as I see everybody's pretty much done, we will keep moving. The text for that, you might have seen Ms. Gertson click it. It's up in the right-hand corner. You'll just click on it and it'll show you the text, and that's connected to each of the questions. But it's the same text every time. Ms. Gertson, do you just want to leave the text up so students can see that if they're flipping, back and forth between screens? That might be helpful. Thanks. Thank you guys for giving us that thumbs up to let us know that you are done. That is super helpful. It looks like a lot of you are finishing up. Some of you are still working. We want you to take all the time you need. Maybe not all the time, because we do want to move on. Thank you. Looks good. Awesome. And if you are just joining us, welcome. It does look like you found your way into the Nearpod. You probably have time to answer one of those questions, so go ahead and do that. We're just kind of getting a baseline to see what we need to teach and what you all have a pretty good grasp on. So far, I'll be honest, I am pleasantly surprised. Good job, you guys. Gonna have to thank your English 3 teachers. fun. Okay, so first of all, number one, just the other teachers, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, we had 100% participation. Everybody completed that. I know, you guys, that never happens. So thank you. We're all doing the happy dance. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing that. That's super helpful for us to see kind of where we're at. I know you guys should celebrate yourselves. That's awesome. We're so proud of you. We're so happy. Like that just doesn't happen. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that text later, but that was just to give us kind of an idea of where you guys are at. As far as when I read something, am I understanding it? Am I able to connect to it? Can I pull out those themes? And so now I have a kind of a good idea of what we need to kind of focus on over the next week or two. So let's talk about the importance of annotating our text. So if you remember all the way back to lesson 1, and if you are brand new, welcome. You're going to get to this lesson. We know we had some brand new students this week, and that's totally fine. You are not behind. But in Unit 1, Lesson 1, you were asked to annotate that very first part of the Brandenburg text. Annotating is a fantastic way to connect the text and really just monitor your own understanding. Am I understanding what's happening here? Some people skipped that assignment, and so we would send it back to you like, hey, this is actually really important. We want you to practice annotating. And so hopefully you continued making notes for yourself as you're reading through each section throughout the unit. This really will help you identify themes and begin to relate to what you are reading. And so that's why that's so important. And so we're going to practice a little bit of that today. But the rest of the time, we're going to actually be reading from the Broughton-Brandenburg text. So if you are towards the end of Unit 1, this will not be new to you. If you're at the beginning, you may not have seen this text yet, but you will. So let's start with just this little excerpt. For those of you who are brand new, just so you know, Broughton-Brandenburg wrote this book called Imported Americans, and it's where at the beginning he kind of is describing how Americans have like this negative attitude towards immigrants, but they don't really understand like the immigrant's perspective because nobody's writing about it. And so he, as a writer for a newspaper, decides he's going to go and get the immigrant's perspective. And he and his wife actually go and live among the immigrants to kind of see like, what is it like to be an immigrant? Like, what is their perspective and how can we share that with the Americans as a whole? So let's go ahead and read this together. Ms. Stevens, do you mind reading this for us? And I'm asking you to do it. And like, if you don't feel well, just say, no, I'm not going to do that.
I was typing and then Ms. Gertson said what I was going to say. And I was like, okay. Yes. So at the very outset, we had difficulty in gaining admission to any all-Italian house. In the tenements where several rooms were to be had, the Italian real estate agents eyed us with suspicion and averred solemnly that they were all full, even to the roof. This, they asserted, notwithstanding empty apartments to be seen from the street and rooms to let signs without number. In the boarding houses, we were met with a very cold reception even before it was known what we wanted. In the Italian hotels, it was the same way with the exception of one south of Washington Square, and there the proprietor kindly offered to let us in at twice the ordinary price, according to the rates tacked on the room doors. At last, however, we came to the domicile of the Chevalier Celestin Tonella. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Here we found our haven.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as you were reading, did anybody catch a theme, something that kind of this entire paragraph is about? If you think about somebody offering to let you rent a room for twice the price, is that kindness? No, definitely not. Thanks for participating with your emojis there, reactions. Yeah, that is not. So what we see here, kind of, anybody want to guess on what kind of the general theme is here before I just tell you?
Throw it in the chat. We won't bite if you guys comment, I promise. And
you're welcome to come on my course, just put it in the chat.
Yeah, extra kudo points if you actually let us hear your pretty voices, because I know you have them.
Okay, so before I tell you, let me just give you a few more clues because I want you to see kind of what's in this. And I don't know, when I annotate, it's automatically giving me this ugly brown crayon instead of a highlighter. Do either of you know how to change that? I'm not seeing that.
I don't. I don't even think I have the option to annotate right now. So.
Okay, that's all right. I'll just underline and try not to go over the words. Okay, so here are some of the things that I see that kind of make my blood boil, right? So first of all, and blood boil may be a little too much. Like I'm like, oh no, something's happening here if they're having difficulty in gaining admission to any all Italian house. Because remember, they want to live among the immigrants. So, and then we have where these Italian agents are eyeing us how? With suspicion, right? Because obviously they weren't Italian, and so they're like, "Wait a minute, why are you here? What do you belong? What do you not? You don't belong here." And then they swear that all of their rooms are full. We don't have a single room available, right? Even though it says this, they asserted, notwithstanding, there are empty apartments that we could see from the street. And then, oh, you guys got it now. We've got this very cold reception, even before they told them what they wanted, right? And then that last thing that, whoops, that really made me go crazy, which was the idea that they're going to let them stay there for twice the ordinary price. Like, yeah, come and stay with us. It's totally fine. And so somebody notated that this is racial prejudice, and you are exactly right. That's exactly what has happened here. So we see this racial prejudice being acted out against the Americans by the Italian immigrants, right? And so if you have ever experienced that, whether firsthand or maybe you have observed it around you, that would be another good connecting point for the story that would help you with your essay. But just by slowing down and going back and saying, okay, what stands out to me here? That is how we are going to identify what the themes are in the text. So if that means you need to go back and reread some of the text, you can do that. Now, if that sounds like the worst thing in the world to you, I get it. Like, it was a lot of reading to do. But remember, all of the readings are available as a single document in our student support page. And there's actually a read aloud of each section as well that has commentary. So if there was one section in particular, like maybe you read this and you were like, racial prejudice, I don't see that at all. But now you do because we've talked it out. That is what we do in those read alouds. So we read each section and then we talk about what we just read. And so if you're struggling with that at all, please go back and reread, listen to it, listen to the commentary. I promise those things will help you. All right, so second. Okay, so throughout the essay that we've been reading, throughout the text that we've been reading, Imported Americans, there are lots of quotes, just like the ones that we just annotated, that point to other themes. So I'm going to have you guys look at some of those quotes and see if you can match them with the correct themes to see how many of these you can get right. So these are direct quotes from the text. So if you see quotes around it, that you're going to match that with something that doesn't have quotes around it. So we're matching quotes to themes. And you have unlimited tries on this. So if you get one wrong, just try again. No big deal. Ooh, some of y'all are so fast. You got it in a hurry. Well done. Unless you were just like click, 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 which I don't think you were, because you got it in just almost just over 6 tries. If you are already done, yes, exactly what Miss Gertson just did. If you will go to the notes and go to your teacher's slide, if you're not already there, if there are any on this page where you're like, I relate to people being mistreated, or I relate to learning about a new culture, make a note to yourself. That could be a potential paragraph or even an entire essay for you for the ideas that you might have. So you can even take note of the quote that you matched it with, right? And so those are things that you can absolutely use on your essay. When you guys come to class, we're so glad to have you here. And we absolutely want to give you a little bit of extra that will help you in the course. And so grab those quotes, grab those themes that you relate to. That will definitely be helpful to you. And it looks like, almost all of us are done. I'll give you another minute, because listen, we're going for 100% participation today because you guys are killing it. I'm just continue to be blown away. So remember, if you have this being sent to you, you're going to get how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 on this page, themes that you could relate to, plus the one we did earlier. And so you guys are getting so many racial prejudice from earlier. So you're getting so much quotes and great themes that you could potentially connect to just by being in class today. 100%. Yay. All right, let's keep moving. So make your notes, and then we will keep going to the second part that we want to accomplish today, which once you've identified those themes, remember the next part is to connect, right? What connections are you making to the text? So when you read a text, the way to know if you're connecting is monitor your emotions. If you feel something when they say, they're going to give you a twice the rent, or when you feel something when they say we don't have any rooms, but you can see empty rooms, when you feel something in that means you're making a connection to the text. So monitor your emotions, and that's probably going to give you a really good indication that you're connecting to the text. All right, I have another excerpt from the Brandenburg text. This one's a little more lighthearted. So we talked about racial prejudice. This one's a little more lighthearted. So this one, if you remember, this is when he is kind of just observing a group of men who are playing this game. So I'm going to read it through real quick and just see if we can kind of figure out what's going on here. So it says, 3 of them were under the gaslight and were leaning forward in postures of straining excitement. And as each spoke a number, he thrust out one hand or both with fingers held out. 3, 4, 7, perhaps only 1. All the numbers spoken were under 10. And the numbers spoken did not correspond with the numbers indicated by the fingers. After watching them a minute, I saw that each was trying to guess the number the other man would indicate on his finger, and a correct guess ended the bout. Then would come laughter at the expense of the defeated one, and the game would begin over and over for points. Later inquiry as to the name and popularity of the game brought forth the information that is called mora, and it is very general through southern Italy, being a favorite diversion among the country people. In Italy, country boys will get together in a corner and play mora until they're exhausted. And in the place under us, I have known that the last hoarsely shouted number to sound after the hour of 3. So I'm like, whoa, there's this loud game. It sounds exciting. It's called Mora. I've never heard of Mora, but apparently there's these old guys playing it. Young kids will play it. They play it for hours until they just fall over from exhaustion. They played it until 3 o'clock in the morning. And so as I'm reading this, I'm like, what is Mora? Is it something I could learn? Is it something that maybe I should be playing? And so as you have those thoughts, you guys, you have technology like literally at your fingertips, right? Like you got your phone, you've got your phone with you right now. I know you do. So anytime you have that, just Google it. Google what is Mora. So that's what I did. And I actually found a really cool video that actually shows a bunch of old men playing Mora. So let's watch that now. I'll let you watch it on your screens. So it's not super loud or not, but you guys can watch it on your screens.
Is there sound to this, Miss Lo?
Yes, on the student computers, they should be able to hear it.
Gotcha.
And yes, you guys, you may, if you're not reading the chat, Miss Stevens said, this reminds me of when I learned to play dominoes. Miss Gertson says it's like rock, paper, scissors, right? And so it's those games that are just like kind of easy to pick up on, but they can get kind of loud and ruckus. A friend of mine just this summer taught us how to play bank, if you've never heard of bank. And literally every single person that we have had stay with us this summer, which has been a lot, we have taught them how to play this. And so now people are playing bank all over America because my friend taught us and we just thought it was so fun, but it is super loud, and so much fun and easy. Like if you have a phone and a pair of dice, you can play. And so it's really fun to play anywhere. Yes, you're exactly right. It is a math game. I'm sorry it blocked it. Well, let's play. It's 30 seconds. Can you turn on your volume and just play it, Ms. Gertson? Because I want you to see it because it's kind of fun.
This is a game called Mora, and it dates back thousands of years. The traditional game can be traced back to ancient Rome and Greece and involves a lot of shouting and hand gestures. Players simultaneously reveal their hands, extending any amount of fingers while calling out a number. Players get a point if they successfully guess the total number of fingers revealed by both players combined.
It's so loud and it's so fast. Like they are counting up numbers super fast. I don't think I could do it that fast. I'd be like, oh, I got it right. No, I didn't. I counted wrong. Right. But yes, it's kind of like a math game. Actually, I think it'd be a fun math game for like elementary students who are just learning addition to play, because that would cause them, right, to like have to do a little bit of quick math in their heads. All right, so as you're reading, when you have those things come up for you, like take the time to look it up. You never know what you're going to find. It might be kind of fun to watch anyways. All right, so now that we have talked through what it looks like to slow down, annotate a text, see if you can identify those themes. We talked about what it looks like to get curious about what you are reading and doing a little bit of research to connect even more. And then taking all of that and just being able to connect, right, with what you're reading, saying like, oh, when I learned to play dominoes. Oh, when we play rock, paper, scissors. Oh, when my friend taught us how to play bank and I yelled at all my kids because I kept losing. You know, all of those things are helping you connect. And so those are the types of things we want you to do. And so now we want you to demonstrate what you have learned over the last 42 minutes. We'll call it 40 because we didn't start right on time. So what I want you to do on this next slide is you are going to annotate your own text. So you should have the ability to annotate this. So remember, that's going to be highlighting, that's going to be listing things, potential themes out to the side. Don't worry, I will give you the correct answers at the end, but I wanted to see what you guys can come up with. So I'm going to get quiet, give you guys a few minutes to read through this. Again, this is right out of Imported Americans. And so we're going to give you literally 3 more themes that you might relate to. So you should be able to see that on your screen, and you should be able to access your highlighter. So if you look at the bottom, you've got a crayon that will black things out. Switch it to the highlighter and you can even change colors, and then you can start highlighting from there. I would choose a darker color because those highlighters actually don't come through very, very dark. So you're highlighting what stands out to you and trying to identify themes. I'm watching you guys do your highlights. I can't tell you how many times students will highlight everything. And I'm like, that doesn't help. And you guys aren't doing that. Like, I don't see a single person who's highlighted everything. You're highlighting specific things. Remember, you're monitoring kind of what's rising up in you emotionally. Are you making connections, right? And remember, when you're done with your highlights, then you're going to go ahead and annotate the side. What themes are you being able to identify? And then hit submit. And that tells me that you are ready to move on. And remember, I'm going to give you all the answers. So I'm just seeing, like, what do you guys see? So highlight and make those notes in the column. That's what I'm looking for on those submissions. And so to put things in the column, you'll just do your little text box like you did on our warm-up. And you can make a little text box and just type out, unless you want to draw letters, which that's a lot harder. Y'all are identifying some good themes. You should be proud of yourselves, have some confidence. You're doing a great job. If you submitted without giving me those themes, just go back and add some themes in there. A lot of you are seeing the difference between classes. Good.
I can't wait to read you guys' essays because, like, the vocabulary I'm seeing, the deep thought processes going on here, I'm like, yes, you're getting it. Your essays
They really are.
cool.
We're so excited. Assimilation, excellent. That's not even one that's on mine. Good job. And remember, all of the things that you're doing in class right now, this is basically your pre-writing, right? So what you're doing right now, you're doing your pre-writing for that essay. Everything that you've done here can be used in your essay. And you guys are doing such a good job. Yeah, about being born into wealth. I'm seeing that too. A lot of responses. Good job. Racial struggles. Very good. How people look at you because of your roots. Really good. Judgment. It's a nice big theme that we can probably all relate to. Your response to being treated that way. Excellent. What a great way to connect. Like, you can see, how did they respond? How did I respond when I was in a similar situation? Is that the same or different? Really good. All right, it looks like most of you have submitted. If you have not yet, go ahead and click submit, and that'll save your answer and send it to you, because all of you are having it emailed, I know. All right. 3, 2, 1. Here are some of the connections that a lot of you may have made. If not, you've got it all in your notes now. So we see this idea of social hierarchies, right? Like, they were of Italian, have a humble birth, meaning they were maybe born into poverty, and they might rise to commercial and political eminence here in America. But if somebody who from Italy who was born into a very wealthy family comes walking by, they kind of cringe and they're like, oh no, even though here, like they've made something of themselves. And so they, have this response. Even if that other person who was born into wealth here in America is now a worthless scamp, right? Who just happened to be well-born, they still kind of cringe unhesitatingly. So that was another example. And then old values, right? Just holding on to old values. And sometimes that can be a really good thing to hold on to old values, and sometimes it's not. And so you could even talk about in your essay, you can see maybe like holding on to old values. Here's what the essay said about them. Here's what the imported Americans had to say about holding on to old values. Here's how I feel about it. And so you could even compare and contrast those things. And so that's another way that you could potentially connect to the text. Great job, you guys. So y'all have done amazing today. So the last thing that we want you to do at the beginning of this, you did that quiz to show us what you already knew. We have given you some steps to help you kind of process things a little bit easier so that you have a greater understanding, so you can identify those themes, so you can know what you're connecting to. So now the last thing we want you to do is to show us what you have learned. And so again, we're going to give you a short text. This is from the Brandenburg text, so it's one that you're already familiar with. It's going to be up in the corner just like before. There are 4 questions just like before. And when you are done, we'll see how much time because I do have a little bit more, but if we're running short on time, that's okay, because I don't want you guys to rush through these 4 questions. And again, Ms. Gertson, if you want to put that on your screen, be great.